Hello, working moms. Rebecca Olson here with Rebecca Olson Coaching. And just last week, I took a poll around what the biggest struggles were for working moms in creating a more balanced life, work-life balance. I gave you some options on what is sort of getting in the way of you being able to experience balance. And by far and away, 80%, in fact, of those that took the poll said that it was the mental overload, the amount of things going on in your head, right? And so I wanted to take this moment because I said I did that poll because I wanted to get a little bit more information about what would be most useful in doing more of these lives. And so I wanted to talk about the mental load today. I want to talk about the mental load that women experience. And I think it's the perfect moment to talk about this because just today I was having a call, I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and it's one of my clients in my ambitious and balanced working moms group, my cohort. And she was talking about, like, biggest smile on her face, she was talking about how since she started this program 8 weeks ago, how, like, dramatically her time has shifted. Like, she used to work 55, 60 hours a week easily in her job, and now she's really have learned how to contain it to the, like, 8 to 5 time frame. She does not work in the evenings hardly at all. She does not work on the weekends hardly at all. And so, like, huge win for her is being able to really control when she works and how much she works. And so she has the biggest smile on her face. She feels so proud. And yet at the same time, she wakes up every morning feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't manage my life. Like, there's too many things to do. When am I going to get my personal things done? There are doctor's appointments I haven't scheduled for the kids that should have been scheduled like a year ago. There's all these things that are still, like, running through her head, even though she's really been able to contain her work time. That doesn't mean the mental overload has gone away as much, right? And so what's so great about this moment for her is that now that we have really worked to contain her work, and she's not overworking, if you will, now we get to tackle, like, how do you actually get done more within the contained period of time that you've set for yourself, including personal life, right? And so this, as I talk about the mental load here today, I just want to use that as an example of, like, just being able to contain your work time doesn't mean that your mind stops, doesn't mean that you don't constantly think about work and all the things that have to get done. That's actually a different skill set. Learning to contain your time is one thing, and learning how to manage the mental load is, like, a completely different thing. And so I started to think about, in preparation for this, I started to think about, like, how would I even describe the mental load? Like, what is that definition of the mental load to me? And so here's what I came up with. I actually would love to hear what your definition of the mental load is, if you want to drop that in the comments. But for me, the mental load is this sort of invisible weight that we carry in our heads, right? It's like a list of things that need to get done, that should get done, that need to be done in a certain way, and probably like yesterday, right? It's like expectations that we put on ourselves, expectations that comes from our culture, expectations that come from our bosses, expectations we've just accepted over time about how things should get done, who should get them done, how fast they should be done, right? And so when I start thinking about my own mental load, I start thinking about the birthday gift that I need to purchase for my son's birthday party he's going to. I think about a work deadline that's coming up. I think about the tone of an email that I haven't answered that I need to reply to. I start thinking about baseball game snacks that we have to buy. I start thinking about that feeling of disappointing someone because I just can't get it all done in the time that I hoped I would get it all done, right? It's like 97 tabs that are open in my brain at all times, right? That's kind of draining my battery, just like it would a computer, right? These are things that nobody else sees, right? That just kind of circulate in your head all of the time in some sort of unstructured way. One of the images sometimes I like to bring up for my clients is I like to think about the mental load sometimes as being sort of lost sheep, right? Sheep are really kind of dumb animals. That's why they need a shepherd. They otherwise they literally wander, and they'll wander into their death. They'll wander off a cliff sometimes if they don't have a shepherd that's shepherding them. And so our mental load is sort of like shepherdless sheep that are gotten out of the pen, and they are just wandering around running amok everywhere. Some of them are falling off of the cliff. And so what we need to do is we actually need to call them back into the pen. We need to be the shepherd. We need to not be the role of the sheep, and we need to step out into the role of the shepherd and actually start to gather them in. Okay. I know that now I've gotten into a metaphor that can feel really kind of esoteric, but I want to break this down. I'm going to break it down for you in just a moment. But that's just the image that I have to mind, like wandering sheep without a shepherd, that don't have a guide, don't know really what they should be doing at any given time. And when your sheep are all like doing that out of the pen without a shepherd, the implications of what that does to you, like in a practical sense, like essentially when your mental load is unmanaged, what happens is you start to feel discombobulated, right? Maybe you even feel paralyzed by indecision because you're not actually making decisions on what you should prioritize at any given time. Or maybe you kind of go into hyper mode and you just try to do everything all the time, and you lead into burnout. Or some of you might just shut down completely because you just can't get it all done and you don't know what else to do, and so you do nothing, right? You might lay awake worrying at night, or wake up in the middle of the night thinking about those things. Or you just might have this constant kind of tune in your head that's telling you should be doing something else and you're doing it wrong and you're not doing enough, and it's draining. The mental load that we carry as working moms is the majority, I think, of the weight that we carry for us as working moms. And so I think there's a couple of misconceptions, though, when it comes to the mental load. I want to offer 3 of them to you. I think there's a misconception that this is like a part of being a mom. Like this is just a hard season, and you just have to sort of accept it. I was just on a call with a woman that is joining the next cohort of Ambitious and Balanced. Again, that's my small group coaching program for working moms that's totally focused on work-life balance and learning how to manage the mental load. And she was telling me that she was having a conversation with a woman that has kids that are like 3 to 5 years older than hers. And in her mind, she kept thinking like, oh, if only when my kids are finally in like elementary school and they're finally in school like full time, then I'll finally get some of my time back and my energy back. And this woman, this friend of hers was like, that's not how it works. I am still really overwhelmed and my life feels mismanaged all of the time. And it kind of hit her. It was one of the reasons why she decided to call me, book one of my free consultation calls and talk to me, because she was like, I just realized that this is never ending. This is just going to always be the way it is. So one of the misconceptions is that this is just life as a mom. And I don't prescribe to that. Like, I just don't want to live a life that I don't feel like I have some level of control over. So that's one. That doesn't mean that it's not hard, but I don't believe that you have to settle for the hardness of it, if that makes sense. Like, there are lots of things that you can do to manage life, to feel joy in life, to give yourself some spaciousness in life. The second misconception is that in order to fix the mental load, you need either more help or you need fewer responsibilities. Essentially, the problem with the mental load is actually your to-do list. And if your to-do list was just shorter, either because you've delegated it or you have less on your plate, then you'll be able to manage life better. And again, if I come back to my client in my current cohort, who today was telling me like she's containing work, but she's still feeling overwhelmed, like she actually does have less on her plate. She has less, her brain, she's actually working less and has delegated a ton less at work. And so she literally has less on her plate, and yet she still feels overwhelmed, right? And so it's not realistic to think that you're going to have fewer responsibilities or less on your to-do list. It's about managing those things differently, right? It's about actually putting some intention into the way that you manage those things. And then the last misconception that I think happens is like somehow the way to fix this is just like a whole lifestyle overhaul, right? You quit work, pull back at work, do something kind of drastic. That's what's going to bring a more balanced life. And while that could be true, if you became a stay-at-home mom or you switched industries or switched jobs, that could be true. Again, I think that takes away your ownership and your control over the life that you want to create, right? For me, sustainable work-life balance is something that you are in complete control over. It's something that you get to take ownership over all of the time. And we don't want to delegate it out to your job or to your boss or to the team that you're on or to your industry. Like, we want you to own it. We want you to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and make adjustments to create a life that feels balanced, like all of the time, right? So My process for managing the mental overload that women talk about, and this is the process that I use inside my Ambitious and Balanced program, it's really 4 steps. The first is you gotta get out of your head all the things that is weighing on you, right? The mental load. Literally, if it stays in your head and it just remains sheep wandering around aimlessly, there's not a whole lot you can do. To step into the role of the shepherd is to literally get a piece of paper out, or some form of writing utensil or typing, whatever it might be, and to write out all those things that are in on your mind, whether it is a task or an expectation or a situation that is worrying you. You literally need to write each of those things down and get it out. The second thing, once they're out, because now you've kind of taken control over the sheep going on in your head, and just that alone, if you don't do that, if you don't spend the time not to just think about your tasks and write them out, but if you don't take the time to add to it the worries and the anxieties or the guilt or the other things that are sort of weighing on you, like you the moment you do that, you're going to feel a huge amount of weight lifted, because once they're finally down on paper, then you get to do something with it, right? You can examine it. And so for us in the ambitious and balanced process, what we do is I help you in step 1 of my process, which is the clarity step. I help you actually define for yourself what success means to you. I literally help you gain a North Star for your life as a working mom, and we talk about defining success, and we talk about what your key priorities are for you today, right? So I walk you through that process, and so that when we look at all of the things that are going on in your head, now we can look at your priorities and we can look at your definition of success, and we can decide which of those things still makes sense for you to do. Like, what do you want to do with the mental load and all the things that are on your mind as it relates to your own definition of success and your priorities? Because your definition of success and priorities should be your North Star, should be the guide to help you figure out how to manage what's going on in your head. And then, of course, you got to decide what you're going to do with each of these items. And there is a system out there that's called the 4 Ds: do, delegate, delay, or dump. And that is a very simple system that I walk through with my clients as well, to help them just like deal with all of the priorities and the things on their list. But I add a fifth. And the fifth, to me, I call it the downshift. So there's 5 Ds. The downshift is like taking your expectation of a task that you have 100%, 110% what it looks like to execute on that task, and we bring it down to like 80%, right? Because it's probably not worth going to 100% perfection on that. 80% is probably fine. So what do you, as you look at your mental load list, what do you do, delegate, delay, dump, or downshift in order to manage life better, right? And then after that, the last step that I teach in the ambitious and balanced process is to hold space for the emotions that come with that. Because deciding to do, delegate, delay, dump, or downshift, no matter which of those you decide to do, it comes with emotion. Fear of letting someone down, anxiousness of not doing it at 100%, worrying about what other people are thinking. There is a ton of emotion that comes when you ruthlessly prioritize your life. It doesn't all feel good. I wish I could tell you it was all great and rosy, but it's just not. There is so much emotion that comes with doing that. And so I teach you actually how to handle the emotions of that moment, because it really is the emotion that gets in the way of you being able to do, delegate, delay, dump, or downshift in a really powerful way. And so if you can learn to handle all of the big emotions that come up in the moment and kind of free yourself of those big, heavy emotions, that's when you're going to feel a huge weight lift, right? You're going to feel it in the beginning when you just get it out of your head, and then you're going to feel it when you really release all of the emotion attached to all of those tasks. And I walk you through exactly how to do that in this program. That's the step. Those are the 4 steps to really overcoming the mental load. I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you do to kind of release some of the mental load, both either in a temporary way or in kind of the long-term way? Like, my steps are more of the long-term sustainable way to do it, but I know there's some short-term like quick fixes for people. I'd love to hear those too. If any of this resonates with you on actually like learning how to manage the mental load in a sustainable way, not just right in this moment, but learning how to properly get it out of your head, manage the emotions, figure out what to prioritize and what not, and what to not prioritize based on what matters to you, Like if that process really resonates with you and you're ready to feel free from the mental load and to really release it, just like my clients have, I would love to invite you to join me in the Ambitious and Balanced group. The next cohort is actually starting on Friday the 16th. That's coming up. There is still a spot for you if you would like to join us. If not, there's another cohort starting in probably August or September, and I would love to get you into that program as well. If you want more information, if you'd like to connect with me, even on a phone call to discuss what this program's all about, what the steps are, what the commitments are, I would love to be able to connect with you. Please just send me a message. Let me know. We can get the conversation going. I could send you some information on it. But please, working moms, you don't have to settle for the heaviness and the hardness and the mental load that comes with being a working mom. There are so many things you can do, so many tools and processes you can use to get out of your head and to actually enjoy your working mom life. I would love to walk you through that process. Please message me. But until then, working moms, all right, let's get to it.